Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Ankerstar Wealth Morning Show. We have some great topics for you today. We're going to talk about something fun, boxing. Mike and I, way back in the day, did a little bit of boxing, like super amateur, super dumb kids boxing. But we're going to talk about grown-up boxing today, about some companies that you may have heard of, like Krispy Kreme, Planet Fitness. If those two were to duke it out, what would happen? I don't know. Mike's going to talk about that. But before Mike talks about that, I'm going to talk about Roth conversions. So you can think of Roth conversions, when you want to go ahead and take your traditional IRA, convert it to Roth, you're going to have to pay some taxes on doing it. There's a time to do that naturally occurs, and there's a time to do that just shows up. And I'm going to talk to both of those. Before we get started, it's a financial education presentation. You have to do your own due diligence for acting upon anything you hear in this presentation. More disclaimer information is available at AnkerstarWealth.com. The opinions expressed are mine and Mike's alone. Let's talk with Roth conversion. So I mentioned window. We're going to get there. There it is. All right. Okay, there's a sweet spot. So we're not going to go into why. This kind of already assumes you know why you want to do it, right? So the why aside, it's how. So if you don't have any traditional, then you can just simply put directly into your Roth, then you don't have to worry about the conversion thing. If you make too much, well, that's a good problem to have, right? We want that problem. Then you have to do a backdoor Roth IRA where you put a non-deductible contribution into an IRA and then move it to a Roth. And you go, okay, I can do that. So, but the issue is for most people that are savvy, which you're listening, so I know you're savvy. So is that you have a 401k that, especially if you're so the problem is you have a 401k that's probably traditional or part traditional, part Roth, and then when you retire, then you're going to have this traditional component that you want to convert. So the answers are the sweet spot that this article talks about. Again, this is CNBC, came out today. Nothing revolutionary here, but if you are a traditional worker that is going to retire and then either move on to another career or not, but before you claim Social Security, there can be a window there where you're not making a lot of income. And that's the sweet spot that this article talks about. So if you work till 62, but you don't claim Social Security until 67, then you've got kind of 5 years. So if you have a $300,000 traditional IRA, you could convert, 60-ish, probably a little more because it's going to grow. During that window, that's kind of that natural sweet spot. Or for some folks that are like, you know what, I make a lot of money, you command a high salary, good for you, and you're stepping away at 40, but you're actually just kind of switching jobs, you probably do need a break. Take a 1-year sabbatical, but time your sabbatical so it's actually over 1 calendar year. Don't dork it up and do it from July to July, because then you just hosed yourself, right? So take it from, no kidding, January 1 to December 31st of a year, and then you can convert, probably up to the 24% tax bracket. So, $250,000 or so that year before you actually start getting into the super high tax brackets. So that's the sweet spot they're talking about. The last one that I will even mention is sometimes they occur out of cycle, if you will, meaning it just happens. COVID was one of them. So flashback to March, the beginning of March 2020, sun is shining. Somebody's talking nonsense in February about this COVID thing, like, okay, whatever, life is good. We're all just doing our thing, whatever that happens to be. Fast forward about 2 weeks. We do have a pandemic. We have all kinds of governmental response, whether you support that or not, it doesn't matter. We did. And the market is whipping 7 to 10% daily. And the first 5 steps of that was down, right? So we got 35% off. If you are, and we had 3 clients do this, if you are super cool under pressure and you don't mind that the sky is falling, everybody's going to die, and we're bankrupting ourselves by sending mailbox money out. If you're not affected by any of that and you're sitting there, reading your paper or on your tablet like most people do that aren't Mike, and, you say to yourself, this is an optimum time to convert my Roth. Well, you're right. It is. When the sky is falling and the market just craps itself, that is the time, to picture all the shares, right? You don't really sell them. You simply, the shares, are worth less. You sell them and then you buy them back real quick in your Roth. It takes a couple days. So yes, you could get burned, but you have to convert cash over to the Roth and you buy those same shares back. And then when they snap back, like we've seen, then you're back to where you were, and you saved yourself a ton on taxes. That's very difficult to pull off, but I was happy that I was able to talk a few people into it. And I don't like when those things happen, but the only thing we know about history is they will happen again. So to transition from the Roth IRA, I'm going to stop sharing this. I want to talk some boxing even before Mike gets going on boxing, because there was a couple of knockouts in the market in the past couple of days. I'm not going to show any screens, but if you woke up and if you're a Roblox shareholder, well, you can just go ahead and lower your expectations on what you're going to spend on breakfast and lunch today, because they took a 30% haircut. Wham! That's a knockout blow. You've got another one a couple of days ago in Rivian, where they lost so much money that the metric somebody ran is they lost $39,000 per actual car that they made. So what's the joke? Stop making as many cars. Okay, well, obviously that doesn't work, right? So anyhow, the press had a heyday with that. And then the last one is, if you might have seen, it was either last night or this morning, Tesla, my favorite, right? FSD, what's that stand for? Full self-driving, right? Well, it turns out that when they're getting sued because it's not actually a full self-driving capability, which is now what's about to happen or in the process of being talked about anyway, is Tesla's come out with officially saying, well, we never said it was full self-driving capability. But I hear you, but also if that's what you name it, I think, boom, that's a knockout blow, right? I mean, how can you defend that? If you got the best lawyers in the world, what does the word is mean? Back to those days, right? I have no idea what's going on if they can defend themselves against the attacks there. So that's the knockouts I wanted to talk about, but let's get more interesting. Handing over to Mike. We got Krispy Kreme, Planet Fitness. Who's going to win here, Mike?
Yes. So Steve talked about Roth IRAs and, taxes, the relation to that. Taxes and weight gain. I think these are the two most common things that happen in today's society that we've got. So we want you to be owners of companies. And I saw this article in the paper version of the Wall Street Journal. Making money off the weight loss revolution has even Wall Street befuddled. Now there's an interesting word. That's a print word there. So I looked at the earnings this morning, and coming out with earnings was Krispy Kreme and Planet Fitness. So I said, that's perfect. Steve always wants us to test the products that we invest in. I have tested these products. So we'll start off with Krispy Kreme earnings, up 5.7% on their financials, their revenue this year. Stock is up just a little bit this morning, not much. And you may say, well, hey, it was up, 2-3% yesterday. It's a great investment. Well, if you remember, only probably a month or two ago, we talked about the sudden surge in Krispy Kreme because McDonald's was going to sell them. So let's take a look at how they've done since then. They are right back to where they started. So this is a 3-month graph. You can see that big spike when McDonald's is going to sell Krispy Kremes coming up and, right back down to where it was. So not a good time to invest in Krispy Kreme. However, I will admit that, when you go get those hot donuts right off the conveyor belt or whatever they call it, they are outstanding. So Krispy Kreme, it's easy to eat donuts. You can pay, I think, $10 for a dozen. Something else you can pay $10 for, a month of Planet Fitness memberships. Let's see how that's going today. Overall, earnings were in line, but expectations, the stock dropped. So even though the revenue was up 11%, and here, let me bring up the graph on that. You can see the stock, and right now we are right at the open. So we're going to see what happens here, maybe somewhat live. But stock was down 2-3%. How's this stock look over 5 years? And if you could remember, I remember because I did have a Planet Fitness membership during COVID, and they shut the gym down. If there's anything that was going to knock out Planet Fitness, it was COVID. And you can see this. This is a 5-year graph. And you can see the drop in 2020 there. But overall, 5 years, not a great investment either. I mean, just down maybe 5 or 6%. So when you look at those, I think of boxing, and I think, Krispy Kreme, that's the boxer that eats a few too many donuts, and he's kind of got a little bit of energy. He enjoys the moment. He goes out, throws some punches early on, and then Planet Fitness, that's the boxer that buys the gym membership but never goes, right? So these are like the two lightweights of boxing. And just so you know, Planet Fitness, this company is worth about a little bit over $5 billion, and Krispy Kreme is worth a little bit over $2 billion. So a $2 billion company and a $5 billion company, which are very small. I mean, these would be considered small cap. So now Steve did mention boxing, which actually surprised me. He mentioned boxing because I was going to bring this up, that we did do a little boxing in high school. And if you can imagine a, defensive end, honorable mention all league, boxing against a center on the basketball team, 6th grade MVP. You can imagine if you were going to bet on who was going to win that boxing match, you know who you'd be taking right here. You'd be taking right here. Steve might get one punch as I came in, but he didn't stand after that. I was inside his guard. In fact, I think Steve's the one that coined, we should go to boxing for our mind and play chess. I think it was him that switched that over. So we want to, was that you, boxing for the mind.
Hey, it's your show, your story, right?
That's my story. So when we come to these are like the lightweight boxers of boxing. But when we talk about the weight loss industry, let's bring in the heavyweight king, and that would be Eli Lilly. So, and what I want to show is the Eli Lilly stock, which is worth $740 billion. So that means they could buy 100 Krispy Kreme and Planet Fitness. They could buy the companies 100 times over. That's how much bigger they are. And I thought I would show some revenue. So many of you know that Eli Lilly, they sell a weight loss drug. It's for type 2 diabetes, but it causes some weight loss. So, and let's look at the revenue from that drug, because I want to show just how big this is. So the first drug, Trulicity, is also a type 2 diabetes drug, but the big one that came out last year, Mounjaro came out a little bit in 2022. $5 billion in sales, and then it's expected to triple this year. That is, I mean, you could just take the revenue from that drug and buy those other companies. That's how big this is. So, when it comes to weight loss, enjoy the donut, try to go to the gym. These are the old style. Remember, it's like eat healthy, exercise. Oh, wow, there's a great idea. But of course, that takes time and things like that. It's not as much fun. If you could take a pill like Mounjaro, and I have not tested this product, but if it can help you with weight loss, and Eli Lilly can make $1,000 a month, a significant amount of money that's paid for generally by your insurer, so it's spread across an entire insurance base, so you're not paying $1,000 a month. That's why Eli Lilly, as far as investing, is a great company to own. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Steve. He can tell you, many boxing stories, I'm sure.
All right. Well, we're going to let Mike's story stand because it's so egregious. I'm not even going to honor it with a comment. But, there's always some truth that sprinkles into there. But what's more interesting to me is, wait till we wake up one morning and the Wall Street Journal does a, Eli Lilly sponsoring the McDonald's Krispy Kreme donut competitions. And, there are all kinds of conflicts of interest when you are making your number one prize horse is a weight loss drug, right? So, all right. Well, hopefully you guys had fun with the show today. I thought it was a lot of fun. Mike, thanks for making up the boxing theme, as well as all of your individual stories that go with it. And with that, we will see you guys back tomorrow on a Friday. You have a good one. Bye.